All right, guys, let's get this over with. Let's go over, break down, and react to all the PFF grades for the Packers versus Bears game here in Week 18. Brought to you by BetUS. More on that later. The Packers, unfortunately, ended their streak against the Chicago Bears, losing by a narrow 2 points here in Week 18. A game-winning field goal by the Chicago Bears in a quote-unquote meaningless game, considering the Cowboys didn't even beat the Commanders. Now the Packers head to Philly this weekend to take on the number 2 seeded Philadelphia Eagles, a game I might end up going to just because the close proximity I am to the link, so we'll see if I do end up doing that. So without further ado, let's waste no time. Let's get right into it. So first, let's go over my predictions for the highest grade, 3 graded players on offense and defense. On offense, I have Josh Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson. I feel like the running backs were the only consistent pieces in yesterday's game. I thought Malik Willis had a pretty solid game as well. And I also think Tucker Kraft. I feel like he's going to be a low grade just because that's how PFF goes, but it seemed like every big run the Packers had, Tucker Kraft was sealing a block there, and it sprung a big run. So I'm going to guess Tucker Kraft, but I could see PFF giving him like a 42 run block grade for some reason. On defense, I still think Edgerrin Cooper had a wonderful game. I'm going to put him near the top. I think Oladapo, I think he's going to grade out well. One, because he came downhill, made a few nice tackles, and also we didn't really notice him. And that is good for a defensive back. Plus, Caleb Williams never really threw the ball deep, so it seems like he was good in coverage. Then I also have TJ Slayton. He usually grades pretty low for PFF, but there were multiple times yesterday where I saw TJ Slayton make some very impressive run stops near or behind the line of scrimmage. All right, so let's bring up the screen and let's go over offense first. Let's get into it. And Elton Jenkins, Rasheed Walker, Sean Ryan. Wow, so 3 offensive linemen are the top graded players, and that makes sense considering the Packers ran the ball so well. I wasn't sure or sure to put a lineman at one of my guesses because I didn't know which one, but Josh Jacobs is up here, the first non-lineman, and Emmanuel Wilson. So Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson, the first 2 non-lineman graded players, and Tucker Kraft is at 9 with a 52.3 run block. It just writes itself, right? So Elton Jenkins at an 80.8, good pass block, better run block. That's great to see from him. He's usually a pretty bad run blocker. It looks like he did a really good job yesterday. Rasheed Walker, 79.8, also great run block. That's great to see from him. Usually it's the opposite, right? Usually it's around an 87 pass block or around there, and a 61 pass block or lower. So it was the opposite. So the Packers offensive line did a really good job run blocking yesterday. Sean Ryan, man, I've been very happy what I've seen from him in 2024, now in 2025, 79.7, 83.5 pass block, 73.7 run block. I think he's definitely the future at right guard for the Packers, and I think Jordan Morgan should be the future at left guard for the Packers. And seemingly the right thing to do is put Elton Jenkins in at center for next season when Josh Myers won't be a Packer anymore. At least that's what his contract says, but who knows? The Packers could very well just re-sign Josh Myers for like a 3-year deal for whatever reason because they love him so much. Josh Jacobs, 76.8. Zach Tom, 72.9. So a lot of good lineman grades. I mean, outside of Josh Myers, who is actually still above average, everyone else is above a 70 on that O-line. So great day for the O-line overall. A couple of the sacks on Malik Willis were definitely his fault or just a well-timed safety blitz by the Bears. Emmanuel Wilson, 72.6. Tay Wicks, pretty high grade here. Great run block, 81.8. He's a great run blocker, 70.1 overall grade. Malik Heath, I mean, if he's making catches like that for his quarterback, making a play for his quarterback, and now that Watson tore his ACL, we're going to see more of Malik Heath. We may only have 1 game left, but he'll definitely be active for it. Tucker Kraft, we'd already talked about a bit, 66.4 overall grade. Just crazy to me that it's a 52.3 run block. I mean, again, I don't watch every snap, or I haven't yet, of Tucker Kraft on coach's film, but on all of our big runs, it feels like he was making a very nice block. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Josh Myers, 62.1, so still above average. Good pass block, but poor run block. Jordan Love, slightly above average, only played 23 snaps. Luke Musgrave, slightly above average, played 17 snaps to Tucker Kraft's 62. So still not really implementing Luke Musgrave all that much. Bo Melton played a significant amount of snaps at 26, but below average grade. Now we get to all the below averages. Chris Brooks at a below average grade is a little surprising. I guess the pass block grade really tanked that at 26.9. I thought he ran really well. I think he had like a 7.0 average or something about that, right around there. Ben Sims, 7 snaps, so Musgrave is outsnapping Ben Sims at this point. Jaden Reed, another poor game, 51.9. Did have a couple nice catches from Malik Willis, but didn't mean too much when you fumble the football. And give the Bears the football at the 20-yard line, they go end up scoring off of that early in that game. So can't do that. 51.9, you can see his running grade. It's due to that fumble. And then also, it's not his fault, but the end around on 4th and 2 late in that game, it's like, what are we doing, Matt LaFleur? Like, what are we doing? John Fitzpatrick saw 5 snaps, low grade. Malik Willis, actually one of the lowest graded players here. It's probably just due to the situational things, right? One of the sacks he took, he could have easily threw the ball away. Not seeing, was it Kevin Byard on that one blitz, and it wasn't even his blind side. It's probably situational, and that's why he's graded so low. I don't think he was this low, in my opinion. Thrown right into the fire, led the team down, got a touchdown right away. There's a little bit of stagnant offense in the middle of that, but I think he overall did well as quarterback too, but definitely could have done more. And I think a lot of it did still fall on Matt LaFleur rather than Malik Willis. Christian Watson, the lowest graded player, just released a video going over the horrible news we received on him. Torn ACL. Likely won't see him until the midway point of 2025 or at all. We'll see how that goes. It is the last year of his rookie deal. But if Watson starts on the PUP, which he will, and remains on the PUP through the entirety of 2025, his last year of his rookie deal actually rolls over into 2026. But he has to remain on PUP the entire year and playoffs if the Packers make it. So who knows if that'll happen, but just a thought, say if it's, week 14 and he's still not back yet, it might just make sense to keep him on the PUP for the entire year and roll that last year of his rookie deal into 2026. All right, so now let's go over blocking, pressures allowed, and sacks allowed. So as you see, not a single lineman allowed a sack for the Packers, and that's because the 3 sacks on Malik Willis, we could all argue that were on Malik Willis for holding the ball too long. The Kevin Byard blitz, he was chipped by one of our running backs. I think it was Emmanuel Wilson or something of that sort, and Willis probably should have saw that coming after he was chipped. So that's why that sack isn't on a blocker there. But 3 pressures allowed by Rasheed Walker, 2 pressures allowed by Zach Tom, and then 1 pressure for Myers and Elton Jenkins. So only 7 pressures allowed in this entire game. Now back into the video, let's go over the defense, and just a quick reminder for my predictions on the top 3 graded players. I have Edgerrin Cooper, Katana Ladapo, and TJ Slayton. So diving into it, we see Edgerrin Cooper, TJ Slayton, and I was almost 3 for 3. Carrington Valentine slightly graded above Katana Ladapo, but seeing Bullard and Oladapo up here is great to see. So Edgerrin Cooper, I feel like this guy's been our top, or one of our top graded players for like 3 weeks straight now, and he's finally seeing pretty much all the snaps. The Packers played 62 snaps on defense. He saw 57. It took this long to finally get this. Something we've been saying since week 5? Hey, get Edgerrin Cooper more snaps. Get Edgerrin Cooper more snaps. I mean, come on. It shouldn't have taken this long. He did have a poor tackle grade because he did miss 3 tackles. So in that regard, it wasn't a great game in terms of tackling, but he also had 5 stops, 3 total pressures. So good game overall by Edgerrin Cooper. Right now, he's our best linebacker. We should get Quay Walker back this week, which should definitely help because I think Quay Walker is much better of an option than someone like Isaiah McDuffie or even Eric Wilson out on the field. TJ Slayton, only 17 snaps, but again, I thought he played pretty well. He did have 2 stops, 76.0. Carrington Valentine played well. We'll go over the coverages right after this, 74.7. These cornerbacks and safeties played really well. I thought this defense overall played really well. They only allowed traditionally 10 points. 1 touchdown for the Bears was a punt return, and the other one they started at the 20 after a fumble. So again, this defense is playing really well. Although you look at the box scoring, the Bears scored 24, how are you going to let a 4-12 Chiefs score 24 points? Now, I will say that final play to get them in field goal range, I have no idea. That was definitely on Jeff Hafley and definitely on the defense, but overall, through the past half of the season, the defense is playing pretty well. Katana Ladapo, 73.9. Javon Bullard, 72.6. Rashawn Gary, 71.5 with 3 pressures and a sack. Eric Wilson, 48 total snaps and actually above average, so not a bad game from Wilson there. I believe McDuffie had the green dot at some point, even though he only played down here, 29 snaps. But I remember someone in my live stream saying he had the green dot on his helmet, so I don't know the validity to that. But if Quay Walker returns, obviously he'll be the mic and have the green dot. Lucas Van Ness had a pressure and a 65.4. Valentine played 5 snaps. Colby Wooden played 19 snaps, 64.3. Keyshawn Nixon, 63.6. And I believe mainly played at outside corner. So, yep, only 4 snaps in the slot, where we see Bullard 38 in the slot and Bullard 11 at safety deep. So they stuck with Bullard in the slot where he should be and just brought Katana Ladapo in. I love to see it. Katan getting 50 snaps in this game and had a great game. I mean, the Packers, I think, struck gold in terms of their defensive backfield in this draft. And of course, Edgerrin Cooper. I mean, Evan Williams, he'll return. And they just have so many pieces back there. I think Katana Ladapo is going to be great as well. You guys know I've been a big supporter of him before the Packers even drafted him. We see Kenny Clark, another disappointing game, and he finished the season with just 1 sack and I think 4 tackles for loss. It's very bad after we just extended him. 56.6, only had 1 pressure in this game. Carl Brooks, 54.7, but did have 2 pressures. Devontae Wyatt, same thing, 52.7, but had 2 pressures. Xavier McKinney, a very low grade. Again, I was saying it last week, the past few weeks, it hasn't been the Xavier McKinney that we saw earlier in the year. Although, when we go over coverages, I can already see it here. Xavier McKinney only allowed a 37.5 passer rating, but he is graded low via PFF. I didn't think he played this bad in this game, but he hasn't been playing to the level we saw earlier in the season, and he's going to need to against the Eagles. He's going to need to get another pick against the Eagles like he did week 1 in order for the Packers to win this game. Eric Stokes, only 5 snaps, so that's a big advancement there. Usually they've been rotating. It's been in favor of Carrington, but it's kind of been like, okay, maybe a 60-40 or 70-30. Now it's Carrington Valentine, 62 snaps, Eric Stokes with 5, so they're kind of going away from that. Isaiah McDuffie, 29 snaps, 47.3. Aaron Mosby, 33 snaps, 2 pressures, 45.2. Kingsley and Egbare, 35 snaps, 43.4, 2 pressures. So you can see 2 of their edge rushers very down near the bottom here. Brenton Cox Jr. has been great for them. He was out of this game, so hopefully they can get him back versus the Eagles. He actually means more to this defense than you'd believe due to Aaron Mosby, Kingsley, and Egbare seemingly grading pretty low almost every game. All right, so now let's go over coverages. Let's bring up the screen. So Edgerrin Cooper did allow 6 receptions, but only for 37 yards and 6.2 average. Not terrible there. Eric Wilson allowed 3 catches on 3 targets for only 4 yards because he had the -5 to Roschon Johnson, I believe, on a screen pass. So really low average there. Xavier McKinney only allowed 2 receptions on 3 targets for 14 yards. Nixon allowed 2 for 7. Javon Bullard, 3 for 15. A lot better than last week, that's for sure. Had a really good game. Carrington Valentine, 2 for 17. Isaiah McDuffie, 2 for 47, both against DJ Moore. I mean, if you have DJ Moore in the slot running, a deep stop into the middle of the field to your linebacker zone, a lot of the time he's going to be open. I like the Packers running more man in this game and pressuring Caleb, but they didn't do so. And then we see Eric Stokes, 1 catch for DJ Moore. So again, the Packers didn't allow much. Like the Bears didn't throw vertically much at all. It was a lot of short passes behind the line of scrimmage, a ton of screen plays, but it worked for them because they were pretty much gifted 2 touchdowns, right? The punt return one, great design, great trick play. And then also getting the ball to 20-yard line. I mean, if the Packers simply didn't make dumb mistakes and manage the clock better at the end of the game, they definitely would have won this game. But those are all the PFF grades for Week 18. I wanted to get over that one quickly in a meaningless game per se, but it still sucks to lose to a 4-12 football team that you just beat 11 games straight. But the streak had to end at some point. I know a lot of people are looking ahead at Philly going, oh my God, we don't even deserve to be in the playoffs. But at the end of the day, the Packers are an 11-win football team, 2 more wins than they had last year. And I honestly think they're a better team than they were last year. And last year, people were writing them off going into Dallas against the 2nd seed Dallas. And you see what happened there. So anything's possible. I still believe in this Packers team. Still going to root for this Packers team endless until the clock hits 0. Appreciate you guys coming by. Reminder, check out BetUS. Use code YouTube150 at sign up. I'll catch you on the next one. And as always, go Pack Go.